Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Alhamdulillah, tonight we started Surah Nahl. Surah Nahl is also known as Surah An-Ni'am. Nahl the bee, but also it is known as Surah An-Ni'am. The first ayah in the surah, Allah says, أَتَى أَمْرُ اللَّهِ فَلَا تَسْتَعْجِلُوا Subhanahu wa ta'ala amma yushrikun. So An-Ni'am means blessings. In this surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds human beings of His blessings. And the first ayah, He mentions that His decree for the day of judgment has already been made. أَتَى أَمْرُ اللَّهِ فَلَا تَسْتَعْجِلُوا. Amrullah here it is Yawm al-Qiyamah, because meaning the adab. The kuffar were asking, when is all this that you've been warning us about going to happen? So Allah says it has already come. أَتَى أَمْرُ اللَّهِ فَلَا تَسْتَعْجِلُوا, indicating that the decree from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already taken place, that there will be a day of judgment. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made that decree, it will happen, and it's just a matter of taking place in its appropriate time according to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has scheduled for it. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds human beings of the first and biggest ni'mah, the first and biggest blessing He gave to humanity, which is it the water? Is it the air? Is it the life? Or is it making them human beings? What is the first blessing? Allah says here, يُنَزِّلُ الْمَلَائِكَةَ بِالرُّوحِ مِنْ أَمْرِهِ عَلَى مَنْ يَشَاءُ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ أَنْ أَنذِرُوا أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا أَنَا فَاتَّقُونَ. He talks here about His revelation and His guidance that He has given to human beings. Because without this guidance, they are not human beings. They are in the shape of a human being, but without the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their real state is less than animals. A human being is only elevated to a level of a human being if he lives his life knowing his Lord, worshipping his Lord, following the commandments of his Lord. That's the only way a human being is considered to be a human being. If he denies and ignores all this, Allah says about them in many ayat, like we talked before, أُولَٰئِكَ كَالْأَنْعَامِ بَلْ هُمْ أَضَلُّ. Then a human being will live the life of an animal, without any belief or anything higher to look up for. So this is the first blessing. After this, all the other blessings come. Talks about creating the heavens and earth for the people. خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ بِالْحَقِّ تَعَالَى عَمَّا يُشْرِكُونَ. Talks about creating them. خَلَقَ الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ نُطْفَةٍ فَإِذَا هُوَ خَصِيمٌ مُبِينٌ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows you the contrast between the origin of this human being and the state that he is in right now. He says, خَلَقَ الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ نُطْفَةٍ, meaning I have created him from a very small drop. The drop of semen, a very small drop. It is small in size. It is also, people dislike it. It is something that people consider as unclean. And, it has no value really. خَلَقَ الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ نُطْفَةٍ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding this human being that he was nothing. But look at this, فَإِذَا هُوَ خَصِيمٌ مُبِينٌ. It says, and to the surprise, the word فَإِذَا means something that is surprising, something that is astonishing is happening here. It says, فَإِذَا هُوَ خَصِيمٌ مُبِينٌ. He says, but now, he is like Khasim, means he is like an enemy. An enemy to who? An enemy to his own Lord. He denies his own Creator. He was nothing just a few days ago, and now that he is something, he starts arguing against his own Creator. فَإِذَا هُوَ خَصِيمٌ مُبِينٌ. And then talks about creating the animals to serve human beings. خَلَقْ وَالْأَنْعَامَ خَلَقَهَا لَكُمْ. I have created these animals for your benefit. خَلَقَهَا لَكُمْ. And he says not only to eat and to use it to ride, but he says وَلَكُمْ فِيهَا جَمَالٌ حِينَ تُرِيحُونَ وَحِينَ تَسْرَحُونَ. Jamal means beauty. And you see this, people like to make their animals look nice, like their horses, And then he says, and that it carries what you are not able to carry on your own. وَتَحْمِلُ أَثْقَالَكُمْ إِلَى بَلَدٍ لَمْ تَكُونُوا بَالِغِينَ. Imagine in the past when they used to travel and they had so many things to carry, they cannot carry these things on their backs, but their animals that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created for them allowed them to transfer from one place to the other, right? And Allah says, reminds them that this is a sign of His mercy. إِنَّ رَبَّكُمْ لَرَؤُوفٌ رَحِيمٌ. This is a sign of His mercy. وَالْخَيْلَ وَالْبِغَالَ وَالْحَمِيرَ. Still talking about the animals. He says, وَيَخْلُقُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. He still talks about the ponies, the donkeys, the horses. And then He says, and still I will create other things that you know nothing about right now. And this indicates that all these inventions human beings have come up with to transport, for transportation, like planes and everything else, ships and everything on cars, all these are from the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah mentioned that He will still create other things for human beings so that they use for transportation that they know nothing about right now. وَيَخْلُقُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again talks about His guidance. Just like He started to talk about the guidance, again reminds about His guidance. He says, وَعَلَى اللَّهِ قَصْدُ السَّبِيلِ وَمِنْهَا جَائِرٌ وَلَوْ شَاءَ لَهَدَاكُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. SubhanAllah. This ayah, Allah says, just like He has guided you in this life, He has allowed you to transfer and to move from one place to the other, and He has given you the means and the facilities to do so. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so this is traveling in this world, right? What about traveling for the hereafter? You're now traveling in this world using the ponies and the horses and the donkeys. Which is more important? Transferring from Medicine Hat to Calgary, or transferring from this dunya to akhirah? From the dunya to akhirah, right? So this is more important. And Allah started to talk about it in the very first ayah. And again He says, وَعَلَى اللَّهِ قَصْدُ السَّبِيلِ. Meaning that it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it an obligation on Himself. وَعَلَى اللَّهِ يعني أوجب على نفسه. Allah has made it an obligation on His own self to clarify the people the way that they reach safety in the hereafter. وَاللَّهِ قَصْدُ السَّبِيلِ. There's only one way for safety in the hereafter, and this is the most important travel for a human being. يا أيها الإنسان إنك كادح إلى ربك كدحا فملاقيه. Oh human being, you will be traveling and enduring a lot of hardships in this journey. إنك كادح إلى ربك كدحا. You'll be enduring a lot of hardships in your journey until you meet your Lord. So this is the journey of the hereafter, which is the most important journey. So Allah says, I have made it an obligation on myself to show you the way for safety in the hereafter, meaning to clarify to you the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the deen. Basically the deen is the way and means of traveling to safety in the hereafter. وَمِنْهَا جَائِرٌ. It says, aside from this one straight pathway or straight road, there are so many other roads. So many other roads, which are the roads that lead to hellfire. وَمِنْهَا جَائِرٌ. It says, وَلَوْ شَاءَ لَهَدَاكُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. It says, if it was Allah's will, He could have guided every single one of you to this one road. But it is not the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to create all human beings the same, or to force them to become Muslims, or to force them to obey Him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created human beings with freedom, and they can choose which way they want to go. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will show you the right way and the wrong way. Allah says, وَهَدَيْنَاهُ النَّجْدَيْنِ. I have showed human beings the right way and the wrong way. إِنَّا خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ نُطْفَةٍ أَمْشَاجٍ نَبْتَلِيهِ فجعلناه سميعا. هل أتى على الإنسان حين من الدهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا. إن خلقنا الإنسان من نطفة أمشاج نبتليه فجعلناه سميعا بصيرا. إن هديناه السبيل. Allah says, I have guided this human being to the way. إِنَّا هَدَيْنَاهُ السَّبِيلَ إِمَّا شَاكِرًا وَإِمَّا كَفُورًا. I have showed him the way to be grateful and the way to be kafur. Kafur means ungrateful. All this is clear to human beings. Any human being who says, no, I didn't know anything about this, is a liar. He is a big liar. And subhanallah, he is lying to his own self. He's only deceiving his own self. بل الإنسان على نفسه بصيرة ولو ألقى معاذيره. A human being knows and has full insight about his own creation and his own inside, his inside. He says ولو ألقى معاذيره, regardless of what he tries to, regardless of the excuses he tries to make. ولو ألقى معاذيره, he knows from inside what is the right way, what is the wrong way. Allah said إن علينا للهدى. إن علينا للهدى means I have made it a duty and an obligation on myself to show the people the huda, to show them the way of guidance. So this indicates that it is expected that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveal His books, send His books down and send His messengers, because He has made it an obligation on Himself to clarify the right and wrong for human beings, and this is how He has created them. قولوا قولي هذا استغفر الله لي ولكم.